Brooks, report to the executive floor now.
The mop clattered to the floor the moment Daniel Brooks heard his name called over the intercom. Not for a meeting, not for a write-up, but because the headquarters of Halden Dynamics was about to fall apart, literally, and somebody upstairs needed answers fast. Brooks, report to the executive floor, now. He stood frozen in the stairwell, sweat already soaking through his gray uniform shirt, heart hammering. 6 months of scrubbing floors, emptying trash bins, fixing leaky faucets at 3 in the morning so no one would see him, and now they wanted him on the executive floor. He swallowed hard and ran. 3 months earlier, none of this would have made sense. Daniel had been a structural engineer once, the kind who designed bridges that made the evening news. Now he wiped down glass doors for minimum wage. Also, he could keep a roof over his daughter's head. His daughter, Mia, was 7, with his late wife's eyes and a habit of asking questions that broke his heart a little every time. "Daddy, why do you always smell like cleaning spray now?" she'd asked last week. He'd told her it was a special job, a secret job like a spy. She'd believed him. Kids always believe the people they love. What Daniel didn't know was that the CEO of Halden Dynamics, a woman named Elena Castellan, had frozen mid-sentence 3 weeks earlier when a new hire list crossed her desk. Daniel Brooks. She'd read the name twice, her coffee going cold in her hand. "It can't be," she whispered to her assistant. "Pull his file now. If you're already hooked, smash that like button and subscribe. Because what Elena found in that file is going to change everything you think you know about second chances." 10 years before any of this, Elena had been nobody, just a scholarship student from a family that gave her everything except love. Her father ran a shipping empire with an iron fist and a colder heart, and the night before her senior thesis was due, her project had collapsed, her code corrupted, her confidence in shreds. She'd sat on the library steps at 2 a.m., crying so hard she couldn't see straight. That's when Daniel found her. He was a final-year engineering student, already brilliant, already a name people whispered with respect. He didn't know her. He didn't have to help her. But he sat down on those cold concrete steps anyway and said, "Show me what broke." They worked until sunrise. He rebuilt her project from scratch, teaching her as he went, never once making her feel small for not understanding. When she tried to pay him, he laughed and shook his head. "Someday," he told her, "when life gives you the chance, help somebody the way I helped you. That's the only payment I want." She never forgot those words. She built her entire company on them. And when she finally had the resources to find him and thank him, he had vanished, no forwarding address, no online presence, nothing. Until his name appeared on a custodial staff list a decade later. Elena didn't sleep that night. She kept staring at his photo in the personnel file, the tired eyes, the thinner face. What had happened to him? She got her answer faster than she expected, and it broke her heart. Daniel's fall hadn't been an accident. After graduating, he designed an award-winning bridge support system for a rising firm. His business partner, a slick, ambitious man named Cole Whitfield, had stolen the patents, forged the paperwork, and pushed Daniel out before he even knew what hit him. Then came the death of Daniel's wife, Sarah, after a brutal 2-year battle with illness, draining every cent they had. By the time the dust settled, Daniel had nothing left but Mia and a stubborn refusal to give up on her. He took the only job that would have him. He told himself it didn't matter what he did, as long as Mia ate dinner every night. Elena watched him from a distance for days, careful not to be seen. She expected bitterness. Instead, she found a man humming quietly while he polished the lobby floors before sunrise, a man who carried an elderly receptionist's grocery bags to her car without being asked, a man who shared half his sandwich with another janitor who'd forgotten his lunch. And every day at noon, she watched him slip into the supply closet, prop his phone against a shelf, and read bedtime stories to his daughter over video call, because that was the only time that worked with her school schedule. "I miss you, Daddy," Mia said one of those afternoons, her voice tinny through the phone speaker. "I miss you more, baby girl," Daniel whispered. "3 more hours and I'll be home. We'll read 2 chapters tonight instead of 1, okay?" Elena had to step back into the hallway and press her hand against her mouth to keep from crying. She marched straight to the boardroom and announced she wanted Daniel promoted to the engineering division immediately. The board exploded. "A janitor with a 5-year employment gap and no references," snapped one director. "Do you understand what that looks like to our investors?" "I understand exactly what it looks like," Elena shot back, her voice shaking with restrained fury. "It looks like a company that finally remembers what it's supposed to stand for." She lost the vote 7-2. But someone else in that boardroom had gone pale the moment Daniel's name was mentioned. Cole Whitfield, now a senior executive at Halden Dynamics under a different last name, the very man who had destroyed Daniel's career a decade earlier. If Daniel rose even 1 inch in this company, Cole's entire empire of lies would come crashing down. So Cole did what cowards do best. He started a quiet war. Equipment went missing from Daniel's cart, then turned up discovered in his locker. A formal complaint claimed Daniel had been seen accessing restricted files, though Daniel had never set foot near the server room. Security tightened around him. Whispers spread through the staff break room. "I heard he's been stealing. I heard he lied on his application." Daniel sat across from HR 3 days later, stunned, Mia's photo still in his wallet pocket pressing against his hip like a reminder of everything he had to lose. "I didn't do any of this," he said, his voice cracking. "I swear to you I didn't." "I'm sorry, Mr. Brooks," the HR manager said, not meeting his eyes. "We have to let you go." He walked out of the building that night with his cart of belongings and nothing else, standing under the rain outside the glass tower, whispering to himself, "How do I tell Mia I lost another job? How do I tell her I failed her again?" 3 blocks away, watching from her car, Elena slammed her palm against the steering wheel. "Not on my watch," she said out loud. "Not this time." This is the part where the story turns, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. So drop a comment right now telling me who you think is really behind the sabotage. Then keep watching. Because everything is about to collide. 2 weeks later, disaster struck the company in the worst possible way. During a routine inspection, engineers discovered a catastrophic flaw in the new headquarters expansion, a structural support miscalculation that could bring an entire wing down without warning. Panic spread through the building. Senior engineers argued over blueprints scattered across a conference table, unable to agree on a fix before the next safety deadline expired in hours. Elena, desperate, remembered something Daniel had told her years ago on those library steps. Numbers don't lie, people do. She found him outside the building, still in his street clothes, about to walk away from the company for good. "I need you," she said, breathless. "I know what they did to you. I know everything. But right now, people's lives are at risk, and you're the only person who can stop it." Daniel stared at her for a long moment. Then he looked toward the tower, thought of the elderly receptionist he'd carried bags for, the cafeteria staff who'd shared coffee with him on cold mornings, and said simply, "Show me the blueprints." Inside, nobody believed the former janitor could solve what their top engineers couldn't. He ignored their doubt, spreading the blueprints across the table, running calculations in his head faster than the computer models could catch up. "Here," he said, jabbing his finger at a beam intersection. "This load calculation is wrong. It's off by 12%. If you don't reinforce this section in the next 2 hours, the east wing collapses." "Who put you in charge?" one engineer scoffed. "I did," Elena said, stepping forward. "Everyone listen to him now." They listened. Daniel directed the emergency reinforcement himself, hands steady despite his exhaustion, voice calm despite the chaos around him. By midnight, the building was secure. Lives were saved. The story even made the late news, though no one outside the room knew the hero's name yet. Elena made sure that changed. She launched a full investigation into the original patent theft from a decade earlier, and within days her team uncovered everything. Forged contracts bearing Daniel's signature traced back to a different document specialist, falsified reports, and financial transfers connecting it all directly to Cole Whitfield. Cole was escorted out of the building in handcuffs 3 days later, his protests echoing uselessly down the marble lobby he used to walk like he owned it. The engineering community issued a public apology to Daniel. His old patents were restored to his name. Reporters who once ignored him were suddenly begging for interviews. Elena offered him the senior engineering position herself, in person in her office, the late afternoon sun pouring gold across her desk. "I don't want charity," Daniel said quietly, staring at the offer letter without touching it. "This isn't charity," Elena said, stepping closer. "This is me giving you back what the world stole from you 10 years too late." He looked up at her, really looked, maybe for the first time since he'd walked back into her life. "Why does this matter so much to you?" "Because you saved me once when you had nothing to gain," she said, her voice trembling. "And I have spent 10 years wishing I'd found you in time to do the same." He took the letter, their hands brushed, neither of them pulled away first. The months that followed weren't dramatic. They were small. Coffee before work, Elena helping Mia with her math homework at the kitchen table while Daniel cooked dinner in the next room. Quiet Sunday volunteer mornings at the community center. Long conversations on Elena's balcony about grief, about guilt, about how long it takes to let yourself be happy again after you've convinced yourself you don't deserve it. Mia adored her almost instantly. One evening, while Elena tucked her into bed because Daniel was running late, Mia whispered, "Can I call you my almost mom?" Elena had to leave the room so the little girl wouldn't see her cry. Of course, it wasn't easy. Elena's family, especially her father, was outraged. "A billionaire doesn't marry a janitor," he spat at a family dinner that ended with Elena walking out and not looking back. Tabloids mocked Daniel mercilessly, running headlines calling him a gold digger, a con man, a fraud who'd somehow charmed his way into a fortune. Daniel nearly walked away. He stood in Elena's office one night, bag packed, ready to disappear again, protect Mia from the cameras, protect Elena from the embarrassment. "I won't be the reason your family hates you," he said. "I won't be the headline that follows you for the rest of your life." Elena blocked the doorway, refusing to let him pass. "You don't get to decide that for me," she said, tears streaming freely now. "I didn't fall in love with the man who cleaned my floors. I fell in love with the man who built my future before I even knew I needed one, 10 years ago and every single day since." He set the bag down. "We are almost at the ending now, and if this story has had you holding your breath, hit subscribe so you never miss the next one, because what happens at that wedding is going to wreck you in the best way." 6 months later, Daniel and Elena married in a small garden ceremony, string lights woven through the trees, no press allowed, no celebrities on the guest list. Instead, they invited the people who actually mattered, the janitorial staff, the cafeteria workers, the security guards, the receptionists who'd grown to love Daniel long before anyone knew his name meant anything. Mia walked Elena down the aisle herself, scattering flower petals with the seriousness of a girl performing the most important job of her life. During the vows, she stepped forward, slid a tiny ring she'd picked out herself onto Elena's finger, and asked in front of everyone, "Can I call you Mom now? For real this time?" Elena dropped to her knees right there in her wedding dress, pulling Mia into her arms. "Sweetheart," she said through tears, "you've been my daughter since the moment I watched you on that video call telling your dad you missed him. You just didn't know it yet. There wasn't a dry eye left at that ceremony. Years later, Daniel leads Halden Dynamics' Engineering Innovation Division, the same division that once refused to even consider hearing him. Elena remains CEO, fiercer and kinder than ever. Together, they built a scholarship fund for single parents pursuing careers in engineering and skilled trades, naming it after the kindness that started it all on those library steps a decade before. And if you ever visit their offices, you'll find a plaque by the entrance, engraved with the words Daniel once said to a heartbroken stranger on a rainy night. Someday, when life gives you the chance, help somebody else. If this story moved you, don't scroll away yet. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. Smash that like button and subscribe so you're here for the next story. Because trust me, this one is just the beginning of what's coming.